I'd normally sit here after a game like that and go through everything in sequence and talk about each individual goal. The truth of the matter is, I can't be asked. And I don't mean that to say I'm not going to talk about the game. I am. But in terms of just like a match report, honestly, I'm not sure I've got the energy to do it. I am completely and utterly fed up with West Ham. And I spoke earlier, I know it's an over-dramatic term, right? And I said in the preview, it's like PTSD. And it feels like the trauma from all the past West Ham, particularly last season, is still there. That was quite fitting that was 5-1, that game. I've got to be honest, I probably should be here to be absolutely disgusted and absolutely fuming. I'm not. Here's the weird thing, and this is why it makes it so difficult to appraise that as a game. There was points during that game where that might have been the best we played this season. Parts, snippets. And one of the other times I felt like that was against Manchester City at home where we lost 3-1. And then I sort of check myself as I'm sort of thinking these thoughts in my mind. How bad must it be? This is a question to myself. I'm not asking you guys for the answer. How bad must it be that I'm picking the bones out of a 5-1 defeat and a 3-1 defeat to say, oh, well, that's some of our best stuff this season? Maybe that's just it. Maybe that encapsulates quite how bad we've been this season. Look, the general consensus was in the build-up before this game that maybe Lopetegui had not taken this game seriously. Because the starting lineup would suggest that. And Sufal, a terrible game. A terrible game. We'll get to that. We'll deal with a few of the players. I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. He picked Danny Ings, who was sort of ineffective. Okay, scored an offside goal. And Aaron Cresswell. And I think his selections probably suggested he wasn't taking this too seriously. So nobody was expecting very much from this game. But we were in the game. We took in the game. We took the lead in the game. They came back. They equalised. Not a great goal. Let's be fair. Their equaliser, not a great goal. But there was a lot of defending that wasn't great today. Look, I'm sure we can continue to dissect that as much as you want, but it's just been the case this season. Been the case last season, hasn't it? Even at 2-1, we were still in the game. We were absolutely still in the game. We were enjoying our best bout of pressure. The substitutions worked, I felt. Antonio looked to be effective. That's the best Antonio's looked this season. Let's say that. Paqueta, I quite like the balance of Alvarez. That was going to last long. Alvarez, Soler and Paqueta, I quite liked that. Thought that's good. So there were things that I took from this game which I might be able to take to the Brentford game. And here's the weird thing. This is so weird. I don't know if you feel the same way. That 5-1 loss. So I'm sort of disgusted. I feel like I'm just completely fed up of this whole West Ham circus and the whole situation. Yet, I feel a little bit more positive than I did before about Brentford. If you'd asked me before the game, was I confident of beating Brentford? I'd have said no. I think, well, let me just rephrase that. Sorry, I'm all over the place at the moment, but that's what happens. I was actually going to do this video in the morning. I'm going to put it up tonight, and you can either watch it tonight or you can watch it in the morning. It's up to you. But I want you to get my frustration straight away after the game. I thought that there were points in that game, and if when we were 2-1 down, I was feeling quite positive. Not saying that confident that we'd necessarily win this game, but felt more confident for Brentford. We went 3-1 down, and then Edson Álvarez got himself sent off, and that's just altered everything for me. Look, Edson Álvarez, I thought, I don't know what you think, I thought he was our best player. Up until the point where he got sent off, I thought he was our best player. And I don't think loads of people were playing well. They weren't. But Lopetegui had almost reverted back to basics with the formation. It was almost two banks of four, but Soler would go back and join in the first half. And then when we had possession, Soler would try and get up and support Danny Ings. That's what it felt like. Yet, despite there not being any sort of funky tactics, with Edson Álvarez asked to basically play as a centre-back for large periods of time. Certainly in the first half, I felt Edson Álvarez was stood in front of the back four with Thomas Souček, and it seemed conventional, it seemed orthodox. Yet still, despite that, we have an issue at right back, and it doesn't seem to matter who's playing there. It looked just as bad with, and I know that the tactics were slightly different, but it looked just as bad with Sufal and Todibo at right back and right centre-back as it did with Aaron Wan-Bissaka at right wing-back and Mavropanos at right centre-back. it's an avenue to attack West Ham, and teams are going to continue to do it. I had a level of sympathy for Soufal because I thought he tried his best and he tried really, really hard, but he was crap. And I think he was, again, left exposed by the tactics. I think a lot of them are. And as I start to say that, I do also want to say I thought the tactics were better. So I don't want to say that you can't take anything out of this game, but the referee was bad as well. And there's a reason why you should have VAR. I don't like VAR, but I watched that with my son, and he said refs are so bad these days. I said, look, refs have always been bad, but as you will know, against the bigger teams in their home stadiums, you get nothing, and I felt we got nothing. It wasn't the big ones. I don't particularly think that we should have had a penalty, and I don't particularly. I'm not entirely sure that they were handballs either, but the little stuff go in our favour, and that's you basically get a homer, don't you? That's what you get. You get a referee who's just going to favour the home crowd, and I get a little bit jealous because we're not able to put that sort of pressure on referees when the game is at our place, just because we're so far from the pitch. Todibo, bad, really bad. I'm just gutted. I've got to be honest with you. I'm just gutted. I'm gutted. I'm gutted for West Ham. I don't think Todibo's a dud, but I don't have much confidence he's going to work out at the moment as things are. I don't like the way. Was it the fifth? I think it was the fifth goal. I don't like the way he turned his back on that. That was bad. But it wasn't even the worst thing he did, and he wasn't the worst player. Again, so how bad is that? There's bits people might point to. Yeah, do you know what? Maybe Kilman should have moved his feet quicker, and we had a good chance. And every time I think of a load of negative stuff, there were positives to take from that game. There were. There absolutely were. And that's always going to be difficult away at Anfield, but it's the cumulative effect, isn't it? The culmination of all this other stuff that's going on. You know, if we'd have won at the weekend, that wouldn't have seemed so bad. And I'm not annoyed at the same things now that I was annoyed of before the game. Before the game, I was sort of annoyed that maybe because the starting lineup, he wasn't taking it seriously. I think he was. I think the team he put out was better than the team he played against Chelsea. Not maybe the individual component parts, no, but I do think it maybe performed better. So it's not about the personnel. I do think that's probably sent the wrong message, but they tried. It wasn't that. Liverpool are a really, really good team, and unfortunately we gave it our best go, but ultimately it wasn't enough, and we have glaring defensive mistakes in us. And in many respects, I thought Bowen was, for a lot of that game, because I thought the formation was more orthodox, I thought Bowen was in his usual position more than he normally is or has been this season. And I thought he looked a bit better as a result. I thought his run and then subsequent pass to Summerville resulted in Danny Ings' offside goal. I thought he did really well. I thought he did well on a number of occasions. I thought Summerville did okay as well. There were players that did okay. As I say, Alvarez, up until the point where he got stupid, he was our best player. I thought when Antonio came on, Antonio was really effective. So it wasn't like nothing. There was nothing good. But it's wearing. It's wearing. And do you know what? It's late at night, and I don't think that's great. I've been a bit under the weather today anyway, the last couple of days, truth be known. So maybe it's just that. I've not read any comments. I've not looked at anyone else's reaction. So I don't know what you lot are thinking. I don't know what you're going to say. Maybe you saw some positives in that. Maybe you saw none. But I suspect there'll be a whole lot of you that are getting as fed up with this stuff as I am. We should not be in this position. A lot is made of the £100-odd million that we spent. We've got a new manager coming in, but a lot should also be factored in that we didn't sell our best players. Not this season, we didn't either. We spent a lot and kept all our best players, and it's something symbolic with that 5-1 because it was the same as last season. The reason it's symbolic is basically it's symbolic because we're still shambolic. It was 5-1 last season away in this competition at Anfield, and it's 5-1 this season. I don't know. I'm going to go and read some of the fallout now. I'll do a video tomorrow. I'll do a video tomorrow afternoon, all right? And we'll see. Maybe I'm sure I'll have calmed down a little bit. I'm not angry. I'm fed up. I'm completely and utterly fed up with this nonsense. I'm sure there'll be more fallout tomorrow. We'll have a chat then. I'm going to bed.